Scottish football is on fire. Celtic are ready to sell big and spend bold. Rangers just bagged a £2.2 million boost. And Brendan Rodgers might finally axe a high earner who's done nothing all season. Tribunal drama brews over Lyall Cameron, and Kris Boyd just dropped a truth bomb about what's really going wrong at Ibrox. Love Scottish football with all the drama and none of the fluff. Subscribe now and never miss a moment. It's fast, free, and you'll always be first to know when the madness hit. Right then, strap in, because the summer shopping list at Celtic Park is already starting to look like a full-blown supermarket sweep. Brendan Rodgers, never shy of a tactical reshuffle, is reportedly eyeing a fresh pair of legs for the wings, fair enough, given Nicholas Kuhn's recent form has dipped like a dodgy chip in vinegar. And with Dazen Maeda potentially moving into the middle to play the lone striker, the need for reinforcements is as clear as a Glasgow sky after a storm, rare, but it happened. Michael Stewart, ever the measured pundit, reckons Celtic are clearly on the hunt for a proper number 9 this summer. Not a bench warmer, not a squad filler, a main man, someone who walks straight into the team sheet, probably with a price tag to match. According to Stewart, even if Kuhn is shipped out, the club could end up signing both a central striker and a new winger, and still walk away with some spare change, provided they sell smart. It's classic Celtic business. Flip players at a decent price, reinvest just enough to keep the machine ticking, and keep the accountants smiling. Now, there's been whispers about the usual suspects. Matthias Christgarden remains a long-time object of affection at Lennoxtown, although his current price tag might make even Peter Lawwell win. And then there's David Strelic from Slovan Bratislava, who sounds keen for a move and might just be the bargain bin blessing the club's hoping for. Let's not forget the almost romance with Kelechi Iheanacho back in January. Rodgers tried, but the stars didn't quite align. All signs point to a classic Celtic summer. Some players in, some players out, and more rotation than a five-a-side on a Tuesday night. They're not scared to sell, and they've got form for turning unknowns into gold mines. But the question is, will they splash the cash this time, or is it another window of calculated gambling? If Celtic can make a profit by selling Nicholas Kuhn and bringing a striker and a winger in his place, should they even bother trying to develop players long-term, or just fully embrace the buy-sell-repeat cycle? Well, look who's finally getting some value for money. Rangers, after what can only be described as years of scattergun spending and inflated wage slips, are finally seeing the light at the end of the financial tunnel, and it's not an oncoming train this time. With the wage bill already trimmed by a tidy £6 million per annum, the arrival of the 49ers enterprises and their slick, American-style sporting model promises to take things in a more streamlined, globally savvy direction. Gone, it seems, are the days of chucking millions at over-the-hill English Championship veterans who treat Ibrox like a retirement village with better lighting. And now, the incoming sporting director, whoever bags that hot seat, has been handed a rather handy £2.2 million boost, courtesy of two familiar faces doing the business elsewhere. Ben Davies and Kieran Dawell, both on loans at Birmingham City, have helped the Blues earn automatic promotion to the English Championship. And while neither kicked the ball in a decisive win over Peterborough, they've done enough this season to turn some heads. And crucially, to shift some very expensive wages off the books at Ibrox. Let's talk numbers. Ben Davies, on a whopping £1.4 million a year, is the poster boy for the kind of deal Rangers are looking to leave behind. And while Kieran Dowell's salary is slightly more modest at £830,000 per annum, he's hardly been lighting it up in Glasgow. Both players look likely to be sold, or at least not returning to drain the coffers. And that's music to the ears of those trying to balance the books while still dreaming of silverware. And look, no one's pretending Rangers are about to make a fortune here. The idea isn't to cash in big, it's to stop the financial bleeding. Getting any fee for these two would be a bonus. But the real prize is freeing up space for smarter, more sustainable signings. Chris Davies, now running the show at Birmingham and apparently enjoying life far more than he ever did at Parkhead, seems keen on keeping Darwell. And if both he and Davies go permanently, that's a win-win. Rangers clean house, and the new sporting director gets a head start on the rebuild. Given how much money Rangers have burned on underperforming players over the years, Should the fans accept a total reset, even if it means finishing second or worse while the rebuild takes shape? Or is that just not acceptable for a club of this size? Right then, here's one for the "why is he still here?" file. Celtic fans have every right to scratch their heads when they see James Forrest still clinging on to a top 3 spot on the wage bill, earning a reported £19,000 per week, while Dazen Maeda, the man sprinting around like a caffeinated greyhound and banging goals left, right, and center, pockets less. $18,000 a week for your most important player? That's either savvy business or just daylight robbery in reverse. Let's not forget, Forrest has had his moments, many of them. To be fair, over 100 goals, over 500 appearances. He's been part of the furniture at Parkhead since before TikTok was a thing. But football's not sentimental, is it? Not when you're eating up that much of the wage bill and producing 0 goals in 25 matches this season. That miss against bottom-of-the-table St. Johnstone? A moment so painful it probably had Brendan Rodgers, aged 5 years, on the touchline. Meanwhile, Maeda's doing it all. Top scorer, relentless presser, and somehow not even cracking the top 3 earners. He's got more goals and assists than any other player in the squad, and does the job of 2 men off the ball. Rodgers himself called him a machine, and you'd be hard-pressed to find a single fan who'd argue. So here's the question Celtic have to answer this summer. Do they keep an aging off-form winger just because of what he used to be? Or do they clear out the dead weight, free up funds, and finally build a squad that reflects who's delivering now? You can't run a club on nostalgia alone. Not when you're trying to fend off a Rangers side that's slashing their own wages and backing young, hungry talent. Should Celtic show James Forrest the door this summer out of pure logic, even if it means showing the exit to a club legend? Or does loyalty still mean something in modern football? So, here we are again, another young Scottish talent, another transfer saga brewing with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Rangers have already sorted the pre-contract to snap up Lyall Cameron from Dundee. But now come the fun and games. How much is he actually going to cost? Cameron, just 22 and raised through the Dundee ranks, isn't walking into Ibrox for free. Since he's a homegrown lad still under 23, compensation is required. Fair enough. The issue? Dundee want their slice, and if the two clubs can't agree on what that slice looks like, it's off to a good old-fashioned Scottish FA tribunal again. Now, Rangers fans might remember the Conor Barron affair last summer, where the tribunal left them coughing up around £640,000, plus a cheeky $250,000 in add-ons. Not exactly pocket change for a player still finding his feet in the first team. This time, Dundee don't have elite academy status, so the expected fee for Cameron is likely to be a bit more modest. But don't expect John Nelms, Dundee's chief exec, to roll over. He's already had a very preliminary chat with Rangers CEO Patrick Stewart and made it pretty clear nobody wants this going to tribunal. That route is messy, public, and as we've seen, pricey. Now, if you're 49ers Enterprises and looking to start your reign at Ibrox with a bit of common sense, avoiding a legal tug of war over a promising midfielder might be a solid shout. Spend smarter, not louder. Rangers need depth, yes, but they also need to stop wasting money through drawn-out negotiations that end with them paying more than planned. Cameron's stats this season? 5 goals, 4 assists in 28 matches for Dundee. Not world-beating, but tidy enough for a player still on the rise, and possibly a very decent squad option under the right coaching. Should Rangers fans be worried that their club is haggling over pennies for young Scottish talent like Cameron, when they've splashed millions on flops in recent years? Or is it finally time to show some restraint and stop getting fleeced by tribunal fees? Where's the line between smart business and penny pinching? Things are getting proper shaky at Ibrox, aren't they? We're not just talking about a wobble here. We're talking historic collapse territory. 5 straight defeats in all competitions for the first time ever, and conceding at least 2 goals in each of their last 6 league games. Not since Queen Victoria was on the throne has that happened. And no, that's not an exaggeration. 131 years, mate. Madness. Enter Kris Boyd, never shy with a strong opinion, and this time he might have nailed it. According to Boyd, Rangers look like 2 completely different teams depending on the stage. Against Fenerbahce away? Together, solid, battling like they actually want to be there. against Celtic? Same story, unity, grit, commitment. But rock up to play Queen's Park or Hibs at home, and it's like someone switched the Wi-Fi off. Everyone's playing their own game. No cover, no cohesion, no effort beyond their own little zone. Boyd reckons the Europa League and Old Firm matches demand effort from everyone, so they give it. But in the league, especially at Ibrox, it's every man for himself. And that explains a lot. Why this team can beat top sides, then crumble against the likes of St. Mirren and Motherwell. It's a mentality issue, not talent. Not tactics, mentality. Then you've got Barry Ferguson, currently holding the keys on an interim basis, looking like he wants to throw half the squad out of the dressing room window. After the Hibs defeat, he said he doesn't even recognize this group as a Rangers team. Harsh? Maybe. But fair? Hard to argue when the performances have been that limp. Now, let's stir the pot a little more. Goalkeeper Jack Butland was supposed to be the safe hands, the steady rock at the back. But mistakes are creeping in, and suddenly Liam Kelly, who's had a few solid outings and a couple of wobbles, is back in the conversation for Thursday night's clash against Athletic Club. Boyd says Butland is still the number one, but even he's admitting the mistakes are piling up. It's not exactly inspiring confidence. Is the problem really with Rangers players, or is Ibrox itself becoming a burden they can't handle anymore? Has the pressure of playing in front of a demanding home crowd turned into a mental block for this team? Are we looking at a squad that needs rebuilt or a mentality that needs fixing? Let's hear it. Comment below what you think about the news. Don't forget to leave a like on the video to help me out. I post videos every day talking about our Scottish football, so if you're not subscribed, you're missing out on the latest news. See you soon.